In the 19th century, Canada's black communities grew as those who had previously been enslaved came far and wide to flee and to build lives of liberty. But against what were they struggling? How did their everyday lives unfold in these societies? And how did racism still affect their lives even after slavery was abolished? These are the questions we'll explore in today's episode of Unbound, the podcast dedicated to uncovering the hidden stories of history. I'm Divyesh, and today we're diving into the remarkable but often overlooked black settlements that became symbols of resilience and hope. Roots of Resilience, Episode 1. Black settlements of Canada were settlements that were established by runaway and free black communities for refuge as well as opportunities. They existed between the 19th century as a sanctuary from slavery and from race oppression, where black families had access to owning land to farm and building schools, even in the face of institutions. Despite them having freedom, black settlers went through racism, segregation, and poverty that characterized their lives. Black settlements were their place of refuge. Racism didn't mean as much when they were home. Now, let's take a look at a few of these settlements. William King formed the Buxton Settlement, or Elgin Settlement in Ontario, Canada, in 1849 to serve as a refuge for emancipated and runaway black Americans. King made sure to procure 9,000 acres of land to provide education, financial independence, and high moral grounding. This settlement gained fame because it had terrific schools, allowing black children exposure to opportunities that they might never have had elsewhere. Racism continued in Canada even after slavery was abolished. Even though settlements were looked down upon by white Canadians, Buxton flourished, with people constructing homes, churches, and businesses, attesting to the success of black settlements. The Buxton National Historic Site and Museum honors the determination and success of its early residents and preserves its history today. In the 1840s, fugitive slave Josiah Henson founded the Don Settlement, a black settlement in Dresden, Ontario. He founded the settlement to provide economic, educational, and land prospects for freed black individuals. Henson also co-founded a vocational school called the British American Institute, which taught black individuals various occupations. Things like these were all part of the settlement's goal of turning black individuals into independent workers. The town flourished despite racism and became a testament to the success and resilience of black individuals. The colony eventually fell into abandonment as many of its inhabitants migrated to larger cities in search of greater opportunities. The Josiah Henson Museum of African Canadian History continues to honor those who came to Canada in search of freedom and a second chance. While some settlements prospered and succeeded without legal issues, others weren't as fortunate. One such settlement was the Queen's Bush settlement, which experienced numerous issues. One such issue was that the land that they were living on was unclaimed, therefore they had to buy the land to continue living there. Since most of them had invested years clearing the land and constructing their homes, this affected their lives profoundly. As their homes would be destroyed and they would be required to move elsewhere, those who could not afford to buy the land would lose all that they possessed. Another unfortunate settlement was Africville, which was in a community in Halifax, Nova Scotia from the early 19th century to the 1960s. Black Canadians occupied the land and were mostly descendants of runaway slaves who had migrated to Canada. The city denied its citizens amenities such as sewage systems, drinkable water, and paved roads while paying taxes. Families were displaced and a thriving community was dismantled when residents were forcibly relocated by the government. Africville was demolished in the 1960s under the pretense of urban renewal in Canada. The Africville Museum and formal apologies from the Halifax government in 2010 are reminders of history and resilience today. That's all for today's podcast episode. The histories of Black communities in Canada, including Buxton, Don, Queensbush, and Africville, stand as witness to their strength, resilience, and determination. Their struggle against discrimination and discrimination cannot be undone, though they struggled much against adversity to build lives and legacies. We must learn from the past and strive to build a future where repetition of the past does not occur. Thank you for listening, and until next time. Some of the sources used for this podcast include Google, Ontario Heritage Trust, Josiah Henson Museum, the Canadian Encyclopedia, Archives of Ontario, Canadian Museum of Human Rights, Black Lawyers Heritage Society, and Historical Canada. For exact links, please check the description.